Good morning, Paleo Keepers. Today we're on Prehistoric Kingdom and we're going to be making an enclosure for the Nasutoceratops. Now, again, I'm going to try and make this, it's very simple, very box-like, so then it's pretty easy to incorporate into anyone's kind of parks, and then you can do with what you want with it if you do choose to add this to your parks. So I'm going for this sort of like curvy kind of building, still square in shape, dead easy to place down. We're going to have some nice sort of like thatched roofing all the way around, and then a nice simple modern roof on top with a bit of a skylight to add some extra light into this enclosure. This being the house part of the enclosure, not the full thing. I just haven't added the doors or gaps in yet, because at the point of building this I wasn't too sure where I wanted the entrance. Did I want it on the side? Did I want it on the back? So I want to I weren't vibing yet with how I wanted it. And then this bit's nice and simple. We're just going to add in some basically a barrier to stop the guests from getting close. We use these large wood logs as it's like an, obviously not an invisible wall, but it's not a complete fixed wall. You can easily see through the gaps. The Nasutoceratops can see through the gaps too, but with how big the heads are, they're not going to be able to squeeze through that to get to our guests. And as well, I made like a metal wall all the way around, and then I just decorated it up so it felt more secure rather than just a bit of like floppy tins sticking out the ground. So I used the iron girders to add a bit of beef to this build. And as well, once I've finished doing that, I'm going to go around and add a concrete base to it just to thicken it up, make it look at more of a solid sort of wall. And as well, add concrete underneath the logs to make it look like they've been, cemented in and they have that strength. And the Nasutoceratops isn't just going to knock them over and make the way out of the enclosure. I kept it very low down the walls as well, because what I wanted was to have this kind of like you can see over the enclosure from a certain point. I don't want them to be feel like they're dwarfed by the enclosure around them, because obviously when you make enclosures where they dwarf the creature in them, it makes the creature look pretty small compared to what it actually is. So if you make the fence in a similar height but enough that they can't get over it, they look as large as they do in life, in a sense. And they look spectacular. They're not hidden or drowned out by your enclosures, which is something you don't want to do, because obviously the main part of these enclosures are the dinosaurs themselves. Even though you spent probably ages making your enclosure, the dinosaurs are the main part of it, the bit that you came to see and the things you want to enjoy. Also, you do enjoy your builds at the end of the day. I enjoy all my builds and looking at what they're doing, but the majority of the time when I come to my builds, I've not spent looking at the enclosure. I've mainly spent that looking at the creature in the enclosure. But nevertheless, I do try my best to make them look interesting and as well able to help the creature stand out. I left this tree at the back. It was already on the ground there, but I liked the placement of it, so I sort of stuck a few rocks around it, made it feel like it's part of the enclosure. Put an ice block under there so it looks like they've gone under the tree to go and cool down. I had to use a few different brushes to thicken out the enclosure with plant matter, so they sort of used it looks like they've used pass through it and they've stamped it down. And yeah, it adds a really nice interesting look, especially when you're looking from a guest perspective. Can you see the animal, can you not? And it sort of peers out in the long grass or from behind one of the trees. It's just a really nice, interesting, simple enclosure. I have put this on workshop, so if you do want to add it to your parks, it is available on there. I think it's just called the Nasutoceratops Outer Enclosure. We can easily just go on Jurassic World Biology on Steam and then find it through that way. But yeah, I've really enjoyed making this. It's just nice to watch them roam around. I feel like they fit in with this enclosure really well, and I love the way the logs are, and you can have a little sneak peek through the logs and see that they're there and see if they're staring at you when they've come and fed. So yeah, anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this and it's given you a little inspiration with your builds. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to use this in your parks, and as always, thank you for watching. Until next time, I'll see you later.